some questions I've been asking myself. What if I forgive myself? What if I was sorry? But if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do a single thing differently. What if all those things I did were the things that got me here?
Turn away.
I speak for all of us, and Cheryl is extraordinary, as we all know, and the most effusive champion of everyone she meets, and all of us in our love and devotion of her book and her life and protecting her and, of course, her mother's memory. So with that, she not only entrusted us in our various jobs in making this story of hers, but also by opening her heart even wider than she has in her writing and sharing everything. So she was there 90% of the time. She and I spent a lot of time together, both, hanging out, sitting on her kitchen floor late nights, and told me so many stories about her mother that are and aren't in the book, and was right there for all questions, and just a level of devotion that feels so extraordinary and so deeply authentic about who her mother was and what she meant to her, that you're pulled through this story by her love of her mother and her openness as a woman to all of us.
It's funny because I think, because people always ask her, did you prepare? Did you hike? And the director did not want her to prepare physically, because Cheryl was very unprepared when she went on that hike physically and emotionally. But I think I kind of caught the wave of what everyone else was saying, and I was like, don't worry. I know it's cold. We shot all of the hike up front. We're almost through it. And she would literally look at me like, are you literally out of your mind? Like, all the tough stuff is ahead. There's like 2 weeks of basically this woman's entire emotional life that she had to portray. And it was very tough. So I think there are obvious challenges that come with the physical aspects of making this movie. But I think the emotional, Laura can answer because she's an actor and I'm not, but the emotional challenge to this role, I think, were challenging.
She was in every way. I mean, not just that idea or sentiment, but she, shared so many pictures, and I think had a dream that we would consider those things, both in Reese's wardrobe and my wardrobe. But I think every department on the film wanted to, take that on and be, again, a fierce protector of Cheryl and her story. So in everything, even if we were replicating moments or set design or costumes, or it was something she was sharing that was intimate to her, I think she felt very embraced by that. And I was very lucky, not only as an actor to be part of that, but everyone that Bruna amassed to create that kind of environment was, an extraordinary pleasure to work with.
Reese and I have both separately been Nick Hornby fans, and we've both offered him things, and he's famously very particular about what he chooses to do in terms of screenwriting. And it's so funny, I always say this, because when I think of his novels, I always think of these, the men, these amazing male characters. And but in his screenwriting and education, obviously being the one we know, I had read his adaptation of Brooklyn, which is going to come out next year, which is incredible. And there's a young woman right at the center of that. And so I really thought he was exactly the right match. But we actually got an incoming call about his interest, because he had read an early copy of the book as well, and had just fallen in love with Cheryl's book. And he's not a hiker, he's not an outdoorsy guy. I mean, he really he fell in love with that book. And so it was such a kind of happy accident.
That's one of my favorite moments when he said, no, really, I connected so much to it. I mean, I hike every day to my local pub on the corner.